pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing this morning, Jared?
I'm freezing, Ollie. I hate wintertime, bro. How are you doing?
I am cold as well. What is it, 8 degrees outside?
8 degrees. I just don't, I don't know how I ended up living in a place so cold. I've never liked the cold my whole life. I've always been more attracted to the beach and warm and shorts and flip-flops. And for some reason, the last, 25 years, I've been in cold weather.
Yeah, well... You're selling your condo in Myrtle Beach too, so it looks like you're kind of getting stuck with the cold weather for a little while.
No, we got other plans in place, but yeah, making moves, man. So it's just a good opportunity for us to sell that property and see what else life has in store for us.
Yeah. So speaking of making moves, what reflections did you have on last week's purposeful practice for staying the course or making moves?
Actually, for me, I kind of combined the week prior, the crucial conversations, into making moves, because I think for me, most of my best moves and the things that really propel me forward follow a crucial conversation. Clarifying roles, making sure we're all on the same page, and then we move forward. And I just got to thinking that a lot of people probably don't make those moves in their life because they're afraid to have an honest conversation, so they hold back. You know what I mean? So they're not making moves in their relationships or their career or chasing dreams because maybe they're afraid to share it. They're afraid to tell somebody they want more. So when I thought about it, it was interesting that we put those two episodes back to back because I think they really feed into each other.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? How was your reflection?
It was good. It was really good. It really made me think about my current career and my dreams and really what I want to do. And I do need to make moves because even though right now I'm a business owner and CEO of my company, B Nails, vaporizer brand in the cannabis industry, I know that I don't want to stay the course forever. I know that my true passion is speaking, mentoring, coaching, and I love speaking and interacting with people. So I recently made a move, got a life coach and a mentor, and am offering mentorship for daily gratitude practice because I believe that is a foundational tool in order to live your most purposeful life. It's really hard to gain more and get more in your life, live in abundance when you're not already grateful for what you have. And daily practice has been just so huge for me and something that I'm really grateful and fortunate to have kind of by chance really fallen into with parents and kind of experiences. So I recently started doing that. Got a couple clients and slowly making that transition, so it's really exciting. And then of course on the other end, 60-day goal with hopefully the first MMA fight getting done in January 25th to be exact. So got a couple milestones, got a couple objectives, and sometimes it's hard to really admit it to yourself that hey, I need to make some moves,
Yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in the routine day to day and let yourself off the hook. And, that's kind of the other thing I reflected on, thinking about that, was last week when you talked about you don't really have to do your MMA fight. Mm-hmm. Remember, we were talking about making moves, and you're like, I don't really have to do it. It's something I want to do. And I started thinking, no, you do have to do it because you told yourself you're going to do it. And I think sometimes too many people do that, right? They say, this is what I want to do. This is my goal. And then along the way, somehow it becomes being optional, keeping your word to yourself. And sometimes the biggest moves you're going to make are literally the smallest. Just keep the word to yourself. Do what you said you were going to do for yourself. So, I shared what I learned from my MMA fights last week, and you will only learn what you're supposed to learn if you actually finish it. So while it's still technically an option, I think it's something you have to do because you said you wanted to do it.
Hmm.
And let's not end our lives. Let's not be at the end of life looking back at all the things we said we wanted to do that we let ourselves off the hook from doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And I'm very aware. It's something that I have to do. It's just something that I've been told by people more on the business mentorship side of like, that doesn't exactly align with your career and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. I think the most important relationship is the one that you have with
Yeah.
yourself. And if you can't keep your word with yourself, then what's your word worth?
And that's exactly it, right? And they always say you'll do more for other people than you'll do for yourself, right? Which is why they tell you, share your goals with somebody else, share your accountability with somebody else, because it's easy to let you off your hook when only you know what you're doing. It's easy to minimize what you were supposed to do and dismiss it. And part of what makes you successful is the fact you're not in the norm. So I would be shocked if the people in your business world thought MMA was a good idea. But they probably wouldn't have thought leaving oil and gas for cannabis was a good idea either. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Only you know what you want to achieve. And maybe it's a terrible idea, but you only know that if you try it.
Yep.
And too many people get paralyzed from making their moves based on what everybody else thinks is the right move, man. Nobody else knows your moves, only you.
Yep.
And here's the reality: if you don't make moves because I tell you, I don't think it's a good idea, Ollie, don't make this move, don't make that move. The cool thing about me sharing that advice to you is I go on with my day. I don't live with regret because it was never my move. You now carry the burden of regret because you didn't do your moves based on what everybody else thought. So advice is easy. So, be careful out there when you're thinking about making moves. Who cares what everybody else thinks? If it's something you want to do and it's your passion and it's something that you're like, man, I got to try this, go. And honestly, I think the more people that don't like your move, the more you should probably do that move
Yeah.
because it means not a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. One of our earlier episodes is about giving and receiving advice. If you haven't checked that one out, that one has some good insights there. But today's episode is episode number 36, goal setting and visualization.
And before we jump into that, I just want to emphasize the importance of number 36. That means this is 9 months straight. Every week we're putting out episodes, which jump back into the one about consistency and showing up all the time. So it's a mile marker, man. We're 9 months.
It's enough to create a human. 9
That is
months.
true. Yeah.
It's our baby. On purpose.
Yeah, so 9 months in, let's get going, man. If you're not already contributing your purposeful practice, I encourage you to get off the sidelines, quit listening, and just watch it from afar and really delve into this. We got some great reviews this past week.
Yeah.
Honestly, some law enforcement people from around the country that were like, I don't know about Jared and Ali. Like, I'm not sure I want to listen to Ali's in the cannabis industry. I have my own preconceived notions about what this means. So they're friends of mine on social media, but they had not listened to the podcast because of preconceived notions.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent us a great testimonial that he broke down last week, had a 2-hour commute, delved into the On Purpose podcast, and came away with a newfound respect and now a podcast he needs to listen to weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. So appreciate you listeners out there who are giving us a chance to lend your ear, give us your time, listen, and see if you can come out with some insights to live life with more purpose, because that's what we're all about. And you guys sharing your feedback, sharing your purposeful practice with us also enables us to provide better content and live our life with more purpose as well.
And grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we grow in our relationship here. We grow with our relationship with you all, and ultimately, that's what it's all about. Like, nobody is above learning here. Everybody's learning and progressing at their own rate. So, don't just sit and listen. Get your purposeful practice in, so that we're all moving in the right direction.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys. This last week was our highest downloads ever, so really pumped about that and
Yeah.
the journey ahead.
Yeah, which ties into how do we know where we're going, right? So we got 9 months of content out there for the On Purpose podcast. We've had one workshop. So now, how do we know where we're headed? And that's going to tie into our goal setting and visualization topic today. So, Ali, I'll kick it to you first. How frequent do you set goals? Do you set goals? And are you a believer in visualization?
Yes, yes, and yes. So I definitely set goals, and my process has evolved over the years. And I'm always kind of putting goals in different places, constantly reminding myself. So I have a note pad in my notes on my phone that's like 101 life goals, which one of them was the MMA fight, which I put down back in like 2015.
So, before we even met.
Before we even met, to where I'll constantly review them and be like, sometimes I'll forget about them. I'll put goals like way out there in the future and be like,
Yeah.
oh man, like I need to hit this one, which is kind of like my big goal database. And then I have more recently, for a little over the past 2 years, I've been keeping track with a spreadsheet and accountability partners, to where I'll list annual goals and then quarterly goals. And that's more of the current ones. And then whenever I journal, which this is something I really need to improve on, because my journaling is maybe a couple times a month, kind of sporadic. Sometimes I'll get multiple times a week. Sometimes it'll only be once or twice in the whole month. But every time I journal, when before I sign before I always sign my signature on each journal entry. I'll do 1, 3, 5, and kind of the first, that one's kind of, since I have quite a few goals going on. I'll put kind of the first ones that come to mind just organically after that journal entry. So it kind of just shows me what my mind is bringing up in the moment. So I have a few things going on, but the most reviewed ones are the ones on my spreadsheet that I use weekly, quarterly and annually goals.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you to expand a little bit on something I think is critical that you kind of hit on, and you're really, really good at this. So I want you to share this with our listeners, our community. You mentioned having accountability partners.
Hmm.
And just out of curiosity, are these accountability partners from the same industries as you? Are they people, like, how did you select them? And kind of what information do they get from you so that they can hold you accountable?
Yeah, I actually selected them, two of them, through an interview process. I had everyone submit an email. I had posted some things about social media that, hey, I want to start this accountability group. Why do you think you'd be a good fit? And they're all from different industries. One of them has now recently become a professional video gamer. Funny enough, he used
Yeah.
to be in the oil and gas industry at a real nice salary, and he wanted to do this. And I remember the conversation when he's like, all right guys, like, I'm going to be really vulnerable here, and I don't want y'all to make fun of me, kind of thing. Like, this is not what I want to do. And I mean, he's doing it. His name's the Violent Hippie, and he goes to these conferences now. One of them has a great sales job in Houston, and then another one of the guys is actually a DJ. So very different backgrounds. All three of them live in Texas, two in Houston, one in San Antonio, and we're pretty open. We're pretty vulnerable. We have 4 categories, and we list goals in each one. The categories are health and fitness, spirituality, relationships, and then career and finance. So one thing that I'm really grateful for, that I listed on my relationships, that now I never list on there because it's just automatic, is to call my mother, my brother, and my father at least once a week,
Hmm.
even if it's just checking in. And that was something that I didn't used to do, but it's worked wonders for our relationship. One of the primary love languages is quality time.
Yep.
Even if it's just 5 minutes in one whole week, it really does make a big impact, at least for my parents and my brothers, just to check in. Hey, how are you? What are you doing? How was your week? Real
Yeah.
quick.
And how often do you guys meet? How often do you check in on the accountability?
Once a week.
Every week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once a week.
And do you find that helps you stay accountable, or?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So actually, we've taken for the first time in about 95 weeks. We've taken a little hiatus to see if we can invite some other people into the group
Yeah.
and mess around. And I can feel I can feel that void. It's definitely some less accountability and I'm ready to get back to that group because it really is it really is accountability.
Yeah.
You have other people looking at the goals that you set, and then at the end of the week asking you, "Hey, did you get these done?"
But here's what I love is, did you know these guys before this process?
Yes.
All of them?
Yeah, because I was the one that set it up, but
Yeah.
they didn't know each other.
They didn't know each other, but you weren't friends with them. Like they had to interview.
I would say, so one of them, two of them were more
Okay.
acquaintances.
Yeah. So what I'm getting
Yeah.
is they weren't already in your circle.
No.
They weren't dudes you were bouncing ideas off of.
Oh, no, no.
And I want our listeners to understand accountability partners should not be your mom, your grandma, your favorite aunt that every time you let yourself down, they're baking you cookies and giving you milk and telling you it's okay, Ali, you let yourself down, but you'll get it tomorrow. Like accountability partners should be removed from your closest circle.
Yeah.
They should be people that are going to be honest with you and be like, hey, dude, you were supposed to have gotten this was your goal. You're short. Like, what are we doing to fix this? And too many people, I think, it's because accountability partners are kind of popular now, right? Like people are like, oh, I want to be accountable, help hold me accountable, and they put it out. Like I see it on Instagram all the time, right? Like I'm trying looking for accountability partners. Well, dude, it's in your friend group, right? And so if you pick your best friends from high school that have been doing all the dumb shit with you your whole life, they're probably not holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Like don't be afraid to be accountable to people that don't know all the stuff you bring, so that they're looking at you with a neutral eye and just the fact of, okay, here's what you said you were going to do. You came up short. Now we've got to problem solve this. I think too many times we look for accountability partners where we're comfortable because we know we're not really accountable.
That's a good point. Yeah. And now that you're saying that, reflecting on kind of the reason for our hiatus is I had brought up that I think it would not only be beneficial for us to have some new people in the group, but also to just bring that to others. But I think on a deeper level, subconsciously, and maybe I didn't say this just directly to my accountability partners. I think it was just that we were kind of starting to let each other off the hook a little
Yeah,
bit.
you got comfortable.
Getting comfortable with each other.
Yep,
Yeah.
comfort happens, which is why we've talked about sometimes there's seasons to things. And sometimes you got to end one thing and go new. Sometimes you got to bring in fresh ideas because with comfort, it's easy to let people off the hook. It's easy to let yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
How about goal setting for you? What does that look like?
Goal setting, it's interesting. I don't do a lot of like short-term, long-term goals. I don't like logistics. I'm not a big like, and Andrea and I, if we disagree, it's usually on this kind of stuff. Right? Like I have a vision and I'll see like, okay, this is where I want to go. I don't necessarily map the whole path. I just know, okay, if I work hard and I show up and I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to end up there eventually. So I let the path kind of dictate where I go. Whereas my wife, she likes a very structured, like this, step by step by step by step. And I'll be honest, sometimes I see visions and I'm passionate about the vision and I want to work hard for the vision. But if I see all the steps in between, I'm just like, ugh. I don't like that. So I found for me that I don't set like short-term goals, long-term goals, mid-range goals. I set the vision and then I identify, okay, what do I have to do to get there? And then I work towards the end result. So I guess who says it all the time? Like Gary Vaynerchuk always says it and a couple others, like reverse engineer.
Yeah.
I don't lay my path to get there. I see where I want to go and then I backtrack, okay, this is where I want to end up. Here's where I am. How do I get there? What actions do I have to take? So I focus mine on the bigger vision of where I want to end up, not necessarily what do I have to do every day to get there. Because at least for me, I know what I have to do every day. I have to get up early. I have to journal. I have to meditate. I have to be good to my family. I have to work, whether it's writing, speaking, doing videos, collaborate. Like, I know what I have to do. But having the big vision, that's what I focus on.
Hmm.
Which is, it doesn't work for a lot of people because,
Yeah.
like, a lot of people need more accountability, more structure,
Right.
or they'll get lost. Where I've never had an issue with working hard or doing what I'm supposed to do. So I focus on, like, where I want to be, and then just kind of backtrack and just make sure I'm moving in that direction.
So, what do you use visualization? It sounds like you
Mhm.
probably use more visualization than actual like consistent goal setting.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, if you come over to my house or you look around my workspace, I have very few goals. Very few, like, by the end of the week I need this done, by the next month I need that done. But I have, like, the visions around me all the time. And it's funny, as you were telling your story, I started thinking, like, when did I first visualize things? And I was always an athlete, but playing in the 80s and 90s, we weren't nearly as in tune to the mental aspect of sports. It was all physical. So nobody taught me to visualize. But while you were telling your story, I wrote down this note that I remember literally sitting in high school. And this was back when we had to have covered textbooks. I know you kids nowadays don't even have textbooks, but you had to cover your textbook. And we used to use those paper grocery bags. I don't even know if you
Yeah,
guys did
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you'd make a book cover.
Yeah.
I
And
would,
those like the fuzzy ones too
yeah.
that were nice.
You could buy those, but we didn't have
Yeah.
money for that. We just used the old straight up grocery bag.
Yeah.
But I would literally sit in class for hours. Didn't matter what they were doing. And I would just sign my name. And in my head, I always visualized I was a professional baseball player. And I was practicing getting the perfect autograph. I bet I signed my name millions of times. Somehow I got C's and B's and A's in classes. But I don't remember the work, but I remember signing my name. And it was interesting because I signed my name all the time. And then I never got to be a professional baseball player. And I thought, man, that was like a waste of time. Like, why? So I never got to do it. Then all of a sudden, I took that fight in 2014, and life took this different course. And I created my own company. And now I sign my perfect autograph on certificates of people to come to my classes. And I sign the fight cards and the fight pose. You know what I mean? So I actually visualize signing to be a baseball player. But I never got there. But the skill, right? Because I looked backwards and said, okay, I got to practice so I'm perfect when I get there. Well, I didn't end up there, but I ended up over here. But that skill still translated. And now when I sign, I have a consistent, perfect signature because I practiced it my whole teenage years.
Nice.
Which is kind of why I do the way I think is, like, I always practiced this thinking I was going to end up here. I didn't focus on all the steps I had to get there. I just knew I'd be there someday. Well, I didn't end up exactly there, but I ended up close, somewhere offshoot. But that skill I developed translated over for it. So now when I sign, it's consistent.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember my mom, I think it was my mom. I know people made fun of me because I'd bring my books home from school. My mom would be like, what'd you do in school today? I'd be like, nothing. Typical teenager, right? And I put my book out to do my homework. She'd be like, well, it looked like you wrote your name a lot today. And I'm like, yeah, like 800 times or whatever. And so that's a form of visualizing, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally signing my name, anticipating, like, these are going to be worth something someday. Like, someday somebody's going to want this autograph. I got to make it perfect. But I wasn't so focused on that I only could have the autograph if I was a baseball player. Like, I had the perfect autograph, and now, is it worth anything? Probably not. But when I sign something for you, it's legitimately going to be the same all the
Oh
time.
yeah, definitely. Hey, I think it's worth something. It'll be worth something. It's just going up in value.
So yes, I visualize all the time. We have a vision board hanging up in our house. It has pictures and images of things that we hope to achieve, places we want to visit. And then underneath it, it has some, like, things, I guess you'd say kind of goals, some things that have to take place to make that become reality. But they're not broke down to, like, every day I got to do, like, these 4 things. Like, I know on my to-do list what I have to get done. So I don't focus a lot on what do I have to do every day. I focus on, okay, if I work hard today, where do I end up tomorrow? Where do I end up? So, which works for me. And you know what I mean? Like, we're different on that. You're much more structured in your stuff. And I like just knowing where I'm going to get.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't always been. I was always that kid with the messy binder, really unorganized, and in a lot of cases, I'm still unorganized. I just kind of had to get forced into a lot more organization with running a business
Yeah.
because you won't succeed with being unorganized in business. And
Well, you're a one man shop, right? Like honestly, in my house, I can have creative ideas and these big grandiose ideas of where I want to get, and not focus on the details because Andrea does. So Andrea, like her list, like if we have say, well, buying the Airstream for example,
right,
I pictured the Airstream, I knew we wanted to get it. That's all I had was just a vision, and I was just like, okay, I can will this to happen. Like we're gonna work hard and make it happen. Whereas she had the Airstream and how big it had to be and what colors it had to be, and you know what I mean. Like she had
wow,
all the
yeah.
details, which if I looked at those, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored already. Um, but yeah, you being a one man show and running the operation you have, like sometimes you gotta do things that maybe aren't your natural strengths or that you don't normally do, just to make sure you're proficient at it.
Right, right. And for me, visualization, I have really only used visualization for more short term things. So, for example, I have already practiced so many times to the T when I'm gonna get my hand raised
Oh, in the
for
fights.
for win the fight.
Yeah.
So hand raised like this, gonna give some gratitude, come down and just hit it with a little flex. And I've rehearsed that so many times. I've visualized it. And a big piece for me is really focusing on the feeling
Yeah.
of how is that going to feel, and really trying to feel that excitement, that happiness. And funny enough, another thing that I visualize and am successful with is I was just out of town in New Orleans on the craps table playing
Oh, nice.
craps, visualizing that number I'm rolling. I'm telling you, we hit this bonus, and I'll tell everyone at the craps table, hey, like I need you guys to visualize this, and we hit this 30 to 1 odds bonus multiple times throughout the entire evening. I'm like, man, and that's a really fun one.
Yeah.
To where you can immediately do it, and people talk about the vibes. It's a
Yeah.
real thing
No, for
on
sure
the
it is.
craps table because it's a collective energy and force in there. But I haven't really, like your story about the Airstream and that same
Yeah.
brand and the vision boards,
Yeah.
like that excites me because I haven't really done that before with a more longer term
Yeah.
visualization. And I've kind of like attempted to create a vision board, and it just never really became something consistent for me.
Yeah, and it blew my mind. So, and to backtrack for some of you that don't know the story, Andrea and I created a vision board in 2015, I believe it was, and it was a 6 year vision board. By 2021, this is where we wanted to be, and we were having a little period a couple months ago where we were kind of doubting things, and we were unsure if we were on the right path, like what was happening to us. Are we doing the right things? And we were having coffee one morning. She brought the vision board down, and she was like, I just want you to see this. And literally, the stuff we had put on there, retiring from police work, speaking, teaching these classes, an Airstream, the gym, there were so many things that we had laid out in 2015 that we hoped to achieve by 2021 that we had already made real by 2019. And the Airstream the picture is literally almost the exact model of what we bought, and it happened to fall into our lap. Like we didn't search for this specific thing. It just happened to be right here in our local community by some awesome people that were selling it. And I do believe, like, because we looked at this every day and we saw where we wanted to end up, it becomes reality. And the same thing on the flip, man. If you're around people all the time that tell you what you can't do, tell you to give up on your dreams, don't believe in your dreams. Oh, every time you tell them a dream, like, oh, that can't be. Like, then that can become reality too.
Yeah.
Which is why I think for me it's important to have that vision board, to really be grandiose with it. Don't be mediocre. Don't have a small vision board. Have grand things like, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to see? And for us, our vision board always has personal areas, business areas, travel, because we love to travel, experiences, places we want to take our kids. And I was shocked when she brought it down and we started marking off all the stuff. I was like, holy, man, we are actually doing it.
Dream no little dreams.
Yeah.
Beef that vision board up. Yeah, I need to get on one of those. What about visualizing failure
Mhm.
or obstacles? Like when you visualize,
Yeah.
do you see any quote unquote negative?
I love it.
You love it.
Yeah. See, and here's why. I don't visualize everything being perfect because I know it's never going to be perfect. Like, I want to visualize obstacles. I want to visualize things going wrong. I want to visualize all the bad things that could potentially happen. And then I visualize overcoming it. And I visualize what it feels like to conquer this. And to your point, like I visualize like your hands raised and all that. But I also want to visualize like, what do I hear? Oh, what do I hear? What do I smell? What's this smell like? What is this going to feel like? Because your mind doesn't know you're not really doing it, right? Like, your body doesn't know. If your mind tells your body it's doing it, your body's like, okay, I must be doing this. So you're literally creating the thought process to handle it. So I'm a big believer that you should not visualize perfection, because to me what that does is, if I have this perfect visualization, say your MMA fight, for example, you visualize walking in, running around the cage, the ref giving you instructions, being introduced to the crowd. You go out, your first punch knocks him out. It's over in 10 seconds. You're the king of the world. And that's all you visualize day after day after day. And then you go in there and you miss your first punch. Or the kid shoots for a takedown right away. You don't even get a first punch. Well, now what happened to your visualization? Does it still parlay? Can you translate it? Or were you so focused on it had to go exactly like I visualized, it throws you off? So I visualize all the bad stuff too, because I know for me, life's going to give me bad stuff. So I visualize, okay, maybe I get taken down. Okay, oh, maybe he passes my guard. Like, all the technical things that can happen. Okay, but I got escapes here. I got escapes, so I stay calm. But here's what I don't do. I don't visualize losing, period. So I will visualize obstacles in my way. I'll visualize having to overcome things, but I always visualize winning. I'm always the victor at the end. To me, there's no sense visualizing losing. Like, you could lose without doing that. But I also don't want to visualize the easiest path.
That's interesting. I take a little bit of a different take on it. So
Yeah.
I like to think of, in any situation, I wouldn't even say visualize. I'll say more like think of what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yep.
What's the worst case scenario? And then I'll just acknowledge, what could that be? What am I risking? Okay. And then I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
And I don't really, like, for example, the MMA, get my hand raised. I'm only doing that visualization when I'm feeling it right after practice,
Yeah.
when I'm dead tired, when
Perfect.
we're walking around, when my body feels like that, right? But I don't really visualize. I really don't visualize the obstacles too much. I think my take for visualization is kind of like yours in goal setting, to where you have kind of the big goal,
Yeah.
but maybe not necessarily all of the little goals and little things that need to get you there. And I think, it works. It works for it can work either way,
Yeah.
right? I just think that one thought that I've had, because I've always adopted the mentality of, like, and I still do believe it, nothing good comes with hard work. You got to grind. You got to put in the work. But recently, working with one of my mentors, she had told me, what if you tried visualizing the abundance and things are going to come to you
Yes.
freely and easily? To try that. Try that for now. And obviously, like an MMA fight, that's very unlikely
Yeah.
for you to just get wins freely and easily.
Yeah.
But it made me reflect on some other things, like getting new clients for a new business or something, that there's already built such a foundation of work, of experience, of knowledge, that I'm starting to experiment with that, and honestly, not long enough to really see it working in a huge way. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think
No,
about
I think that,
visualizing things coming to you freely and easily?
yeah, I think that's what I would call transition, right? When you're new at something, when you're figuring out who you are, or what steps have to be done to get you where you want to go, I think you have to visualize on the hard work and the process, and understanding like nothing comes easy without working hard. But I think there becomes a point in your time where hard work is already ingrained. Like, you know, you're going to get up, you're going to put forth effort. So focusing on how much effort do I have to put in, it's kind of like, to me, going backwards. Like, you've already accomplished this. You know you will work.
Hmm.
So I like transitioning to, okay, now things are coming easy. Now there's an abundance of clients. There's an abundance of people that are interested in what I want to do, because now I'm putting myself in a different space of, I already have the experience level. I have the platform underneath me, the foundation, if you will. Now I'm going to be open to finding everybody.
Mm.
So I like it. And I think, there's a lot of talk of the abundancy and scarcity mindset. I think when you focus on everything requires you to work hard, and it's going to be a hard struggle, and it's going to be a hard grind, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's easy for people to misconstrue or get off track, and it becomes a scarcity, right? Everything's hard, everything's a fight, everything's a struggle. But once you have the foundation, you know your work ethics there, and you know what you got to do every day to propel yourself, thinking that things are going to be easy, thinking that there's an abundance of people out there that want you, you just got to find them, shifts that mindset a little bit. So I love it.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. There's so many different ways that you can visualize, that you can
Yeah.
goal set. So I'm excited to hear some of what our listeners will submit. So let me ask you this, Jared.
Yeah.
I've had things in my life come unexpectedly. Never visualized it, never set the goal, and they've been some things awesomely positive, great things that have come into my life that I have never once visualized
Yeah.
or set out to achieve in any
Right.
way. So with that being said, what do you think is, like, how important really is goal setting and visualization, and how does like random greatness happen?
I don't think it's random.
Okay.
I don't think it's random at all. I think when you are visualizing, you have this big dream that you want to get to. By having a big dream, you're open to other dreams, right? And for one of the things that I shared last week, somewhere I shared, I can't even remember where it's at now, but I talked about, like, I have a big dream up here, but I don't control the path to get there. I'm willing to take the windy road to the path. But because I'm open to the dreams, other dreams are allowed to come in. And it goes back to just what you were talking about, visualizing things coming easy and visualizing an abundance. Well, that's not my only dream. And here's what I love. Because I visualize, and because I set goals for myself, and because I'm willing to dream big dreams and share them with people, it allows other people to share their dreams with you. And now maybe there's ways you can work together on that dream. And now all of a sudden you're like, man, I never even thought that this could be possible, but it is. This podcast is a perfect example. This was not my idea. When I left police work, I had no intention of starting a podcast. I had intentions of writing books, teaching classes, speaking. But because people knew I had dreams, somebody else that was close to me was like, dude, you should do a podcast. You should really put together a podcast and do what you're doing, but do it on a podcast. And I was like, okay, well, so I start looking, I'm like, yeah, that kind of ties in, but it wasn't my dream. It wasn't your dream, but we connected because I know you're a big dreamer and I'm a dreamer. Like, I threw hey, what do you think about working on this? So this was actually somebody else's idea. But because we were open and doing what we do, it found us.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's critical that you have dreams and you visualize them and see it, but then don't just limit yourself to one dream that you see. Have that dream and be like, okay, and if there's other dreams that pop up, man, I'm interested. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like flipping that sign at your business that says you're open for the day. You're not open only for that one customer to come in. As soon as he leaves, you close. You're open for all the things that come through your doors that day. When you visualize and you see what's possible and you live in a world of abundance and you put your frame of mind to, man, I can accomplish all of this. It might be tough, it might be difficult, but I can work on it. It might be easy some days. You'd be amazed at what else you attract.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm a believer too that that everything has purpose, right? Nothing comes randomly. And I have an amazing mentor. He actually got us B Nails in a one scene in the new Jay and Silent Bob movie. So he
Oh, wow.
does, yeah, he does product placement. He really high level, has an amazing career, and he still works, but he's kind of semi-retired, does his thing, always traveling. And I had coffee with him a couple months ago, and I was asking him, at this stage and this level in your career, like, what are your goals? Like, what are your goals? And he's like, man, I used to set weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals. He's like, now I don't really set goals. I'm very go with the flow. I don't have many, I'm just enjoying things in the moment, and I'm not really goal setting and visualizing. And that was surprising to me
Hmm.
because of how deep I am with goal setting and visualizing now. And I wish it was here, because I'd
Yeah.
love to pick his brain. But
Yeah.
what do
We'll have
you?
to have him on someday and talk about that.
Yeah. I think he'd love to come on. What do you think about taking that stance? Do you think that there are advantages to it? What do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of kind of living in that go with the flow state and not really goal setting or visualizing?
I don't see a difference, to be honest. Goal setting to me is kind of more rigid, but like overall visualizing and going with the flow, I think are very similar. They're
Okay.
compatible, right? And like I have visions, but I'm not necessarily stuck on how I get there, which allows me to flow, which allows me to, oh, you think I should do a podcast? Tell me more about, oh, okay, maybe it makes sense. Oh, you want to do a podcast? Cool, let's try it. Wasn't my goal, wasn't even my visualization, but I knew the big outcome I wanted. I wanted to impact people. I wanted to create community. I wanted to be able to share stories and have people come together and find happiness. The podcast is a vehicle within that. So I don't necessarily think that if you're visualizing certain things, it means you're not in flow. I think your best visualizations are going to happen when you are in flow and you're not so focused on one thing that you're missing other opportunities around you. If that makes sense. Which is probably why I don't set a ton of goals. I don't like having a linear just a straight line. And my buddies that present with me and teach some law enforcement classes will tell you they never know exactly what I'm going to say when I get up there because I don't know what I'm going to say. Like I feel the energy of where I'm at. And I know the goal is at the end of these days, these guys have to be taught these basic skills. How we get there is always up to what the audience brings. What do the students bring? What kind of mood are we in? What's the environment? So I don't think you visualization means you're not in flow. I think actually the two of them work best together. Um, when you have an idea of where you want to be, but you're not so focused on exactly how you have to get there.
Hmm.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I'll definitely reflect on a little more with my practice because I've been feeling a little bit more like I've been pulled towards not having such rigid goals.
Yeah, and I think honestly, to me, having very rigid goals, unless you're a person that gets nothing done. If you're a dude that hits snooze 20 times and you're supposed to be at work at 8 and you show up to work at 9, then yeah, you need freaking goals. Like get out of bed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, get to work on time. But I venture to say the majority of our community is already past those basic skills. So for me, I don't like the rigid, like this has to be done here because to me, sometimes that'll put blinders on to where I miss another opportunity here or there or a collaboration or something I could do because I'm so focused on getting all these tasks done. Um, I love just seeing the big picture and then just seeing how I get there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for certain things, but I think there are some certain things where you need specific, measurable, attainable goals. Like for example, for our podcast, we just did 2020 annual planning, and we said we need to get 4 workshops done.
Yeah,
That's a very
yeah,
specific, measurable goal that we're gonna hit. We need to get 4 of these done, and to where, like I was saying earlier on the on my spreadsheet, to where I was like, I need to call my mother,
yeah.
father, and brother at least once a week. To where
But even
certain
now, let's
things,
see, like I'll even point out, that was a goal you had.
right? And now
But
it's
now you
not.
tell me it's not because
Right.
you've practiced. So now you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you need it.
Yeah, so you needed it to get the habit, but now once the habit's there, you need to move on to something else
Hmm.
because you know you've got that baseline, and And maybe that's why I don't set goals. I don't know why I don't set goals. Probably because I don't like logistics. Maybe I think because like when I was younger and when I would tell people my dreams, sometimes they'd be like, "Oh man, do you know how much work you gotta do this and that and that and that?" And I'd be like, "Ah, I don't have time to listen to this." And even Andrea will probably tell you if you ever ask her, like, I'll be like, "Hey, we're doing this," and she'll be like, "Oh God, this that," and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta leave," and I'll run off because I don't want to hear like how hard it might be. I don't want to hear all the steps involved. I just know I'm willing to do it.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know it's right for everybody. Here's what I will tell you: you got to have a roadmap for where you want to get in life.
Hmm.
Like you got to have some dreams. You got to have some big visions, and then you got to be able to share them with people and be accountable. If you're not accountable to yourself, if you struggle with that, get an accountability group. Find some people that you know are going to be like, "Hey, you said you were supposed to do this. Why is this not done?" And man, life's so short.
Yeah, I think sharing is huge. Even if you don't have that accountability group, social media is a tool. You know, for your friends and followers on there, you can say, "Hey, I'm trying to get this done. I'm going to check in a week." You know, hold yourself accountable. I think that's the number one thing. Is like Jared said earlier, we will let ourselves down before we let others down. That's why there's personal trainers and coaches. All that information is out there. You can
Yeah.
go on YouTube and get the most perfect workout plan, but there's still people paying hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for multiple training sessions with the trainer, primarily because the accountability
Yeah, having to
is
show
huge.
up, knowing somebody else is going to be there waiting on you, having somebody else count your reps. Yeah, that's a great analogy. And we all have those moments where we need that in our life.
Hmm.
And then when you move past it, like make sure you help other people with it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do think you got to visualize. You got to know what it is you're hoping to get out of life. I couldn't fathom for me waking up every day just wondering what the world's going to give me and having no intentions on what I'm going after for the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be weird.
But there's a lot of varieties and ways to do it, and I just encourage our community, man, do something. Like have some goals if you like goals. Have a strategic plan. Have some visions. Do vision board. Like start to see what's possible and where you want to be. And for me, like I want to see it, smell it, touch it, feel it. Like I put myself there because then it becomes real. Um, and I eliminate doubt. Like I have no doubt where I'm going to end up. I just don't necessarily know how I'm going to get there. And that's why I flow on the path to get there, but I know where I'll be.
Yep. Yep, and you can get started here with us every week submitting this purposeful practice, and that'll be a real tangible event. You'll do the real work by reflecting on it. You'll send it to us and get real responses, and we'll reflect on this with you. So I really hope to see some more purposeful practice. Love reading the submissions from you guys, and love hearing about your growth and us growing on this journey together to live our most purposeful life. So
Yeah.
ready to hop into this purposeful practice?
Yeah, let's send you guys off with some practice. Let's get this in. And, man, we're in November, so we got about 6, 7 weeks left of 2019. Let's not wait to make 2020 that year we'd always hope for. Let's start right now.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get a head start.
Let's create momentum going into it. And then think about this. If you start today, you're going to be 7 weeks ahead of everybody else that starts on January 1st.
Amen. So purposeful practice for this week is taking inventory and asking yourself already, do you set goals and visualize? And if you do, how do you do it? So you heard Jared and I have some differences in how we set goals and visualize. Reflect on what your process is if you have one. Number two, ask yourself, why do you feel it is important or not important to set goals and visualize? We talked about some people are at a stage in their life to where they don't feel it's important, and for some it may not be as important. So reflect on that and let us know. And then number three, reflect on a time where you achieved a goal and whether or not it was intentional. And then the most important part is email your practice to us at onpurpose.official@gmail.com. That's one layer of accountability and also feedback that you'll get immediately from doing this practice. So we hope to see your submission, and thanks again for tuning in, listening, and growing with us together.
Yeah, please continue to share with your friends, rate us, give us reviews on iTunes, Spotify, comments on YouTube, wherever you're consuming us, so that we can really make this community grow and help more people live with purpose. So we appreciate all of you. Ali, I appreciate you being here and believing in the vision, and you have the to-do list and the goals to get us there. So I
Yeah.
love you supporting that way. And then we complement each other and find those people in your life to help complement you and build you up. So remember, remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. Take care, and we'll see everybody next week.